Welcome back, and today we're doing a tier list for season 6 of Doctor Who from 1968 to 1969. First up is The Dominators. Now, in my recollection, this one wasn't that great, but rewatching it, I actually gave it quite high marks. It got a 4 overall. It was much better than I remembered. Now, the Quarks are basically discount Daleks, but I liked them. I thought they were quite fun. The only thing that I will say is that the Dominators, whilst they were threatening in what they were doing, if I close my eyes, they're threatening. But if I'm just watching the episode and I'm seeing their tortoiseshell coats, I can't find them threatening. They're hilarious. Their costumes were hilarious. I don't know who designed the tortoiseshell type coats for these characters, but they were hilarious. So couldn't really find them threatening. There were great Doctor and companion moments in the episode. The Doctor told Jamie at one point that the plan that Jamie had concocted was so brilliantly simple that only someone like Jamie could think it up. And Jamie's like, yeah, wait, what? And it's just brilliant. I love the Doctor and Jamie's dynamic. Love it. And also with Zoe, he has a great moment when he's making a makeshift grenade and he puts the thing together and there's, right, Jamie, now it's really important that you remember that you've got to count to 10 before I can and then throw it. And then Zoe's standing there going 6, 7, 8, 9, Doctor! Like, the moment he puts it together, you see her start counting, and she doesn't voice the countdown until later on, but you see her start counting the moment he puts it in, and it's just a brilliant moment between the companions. It's a really great serial for showing companion dynamics with those three. It's brilliant. I love that TARDIS team. So overall, I think I'm going to put the Dominators into fantastic. It did get a 4, but I think the moments it gave us with the companions, the story in general, it was really good. So I'm going to put it into fantastic. And the MVP of the episode is Cully. Next up is The Mind Robber. Now, I love this serial. It got a full 5, and quite obviously, that means The Mind Robber is going into Ooh-wee-oo. It's going into the TARDIS theme tune tier, because it's going into the show's theme tune tier, because The Mind Robber is banging. Brilliant serial, absolutely loved it, really fun, really great concept. Really annoyed that they didn't use that concept in RTD2 era, because there was a perfect way of using it, as I honestly thought that's where everything was going with Series 15. I honestly thought that was where it was going, that the big bad would end up being the Master of Fiction, not the Rani and Omega, but whatever. The Mind Robber itself is such a brilliant serial, and honestly, if I was going to introduce Classic Who to someone and I had to give them a second Doctor adventure, I would give them The Mind Robber and say, watch this one. This one's brilliant. The only thing I'll say is that this serial does completely nerf Zoe's intelligence. She's actually smarter than the Doctor, as is shown on many occasions throughout her time as a companion, and this serial kind of shows her to not be that brilliant, because I mean, she gets herself stuck in a jar for one thing. The main thing about the serial is that it's set in the land of fiction and everything's fake, everything is fiction, and Zoe seems to keep forgetting that, and the Doctor has to keep reminding her and saying, oh, okay, this unicorn, this minotaur, this Medusa, whatever it is that they're facing, it's not real. Just say that it's not real, say it doesn't exist. And she's there going, but it does exist, I can see it. And I'm like, Zoe, girl, you thrive. Zoe thrives on logic, okay? She knows that if something works one time, it will work another time. She understands concepts like that, basic concepts. So why doesn't she just do it? That's my only issue with the serial, is that Zoe seems far less intelligent than she actually is, because instead of understanding the basic concept of that, she fights against it and goes, no, but it is real, I can see it. It's there to create moments of tension and also for cliffhangers, but it doesn't work for me because Zoe's more intelligent than that. She just felt more like Victoria in that serial than herself at points, and that annoyed me. Although I will say as well, Zoe had a fight scene in this episode and I loved it. It harkens back to Vicky's fight scene in a First Doctor serial, and Zoe was fighting a comic book character and she won. No notes. Brilliant. So yeah, The Mind Robber is in the very top tier. And the MVP of the episode is Carcass. The next serial is The Invasion, which is another Cyberman story and features the Brigadier, this time actually as the Brigadier. It also features the first appearance of UNIT on the show, which I think was a really good idea to bring them in before the next season when UNIT becomes a mainstay. This serial earned a 4 on average, and it was better than I remembered. I remembered it not being as impressive, and also it is quite long, and as we know, I don't do well with the longer serials, but I did like this serial. I liked the story, I liked the idea of it. I did get annoyed that yet another human thought he could work with aliens and beat them, as opposed to dying instantly, because that's what aliens do when they invade in these stories. I don't know why people keep thinking, oh, I'm gonna be the one to defeat them. But this does have some great moments. Zoe destroys an answering machine robot with an unsolvable equation, which was a brilliant and fun moment to watch. And she does it while looking fabulous in a feather boa. As I said before, it does a good job of introducing Unit before it becomes a mainstay in the show as well. And it has another brilliant Zoe moment near the end of the serial, where Zoe shows all of those Unit boys just what she's capable of, and redeems her completely from the last serial where she was shown to be less intelligent. This serial shows her at her best. She says that she can do something within 30 seconds that the Unit boys say can't be done at all with the time they have, and she goes, give me 30 seconds. And the Brigadier just goes, give her 30 seconds. And she runs off, solves the whole thing, gives them the information, and goes, there you go. I love Zoe. I love Zoe. It's a really great scene, and it shows Zoe at her best and shows why she's such a valuable companion. So I think whilst it's not the best serial in general, I think the story does stand out enough, and those moments with Zoe as well are great enough that I think I'm going to put this into fantastic. Yeah. So far this season's actually panning out to be quite good. And there are 2 MVPs for this serial, and they are Isabel and the Brigadier. The next serial is The Crotons, which from my memory was much better than it actually was. I did enjoy this serial, and it did still earn a 4, but it wasn't enjoyable enough to really fully grip me, and I'm glad it was only 4 parts long. I don't think they needed any longer than that to tell this story. It is an enjoyable serial, it's a good story. This is the one that actually shows that Zoe's more intelligent than the Doctor, which I think is just really funny how she says that. But yeah, so I think The Crotons I'm gonna put that in upgrade in progress. That's gonna go there in upgrade in progress, because I do think it was good serial, so I'm gonna have it there. And the MVP for the episode is Cyrus. Next up is The Seeds of Death, which is another Ice Warriors adventure. It was slightly better than I remembered it being, but it was still a middling episode for me. It was an episode of Doctor Who. So it earned a 3 overall. I don't really have much more to say on that one. As I say, it was better than I remembered, but not brilliant, so I'm going to put it into Wibbly Wobbly still. Which I think for the Ice Warriors is an improvement on their last episode. And the MVP of the serial is Gia Kelly. Specifically the version from the serial, and not the version that was actually a splinter of Clara who replaced Gia Kelly, because I don't like that. Gia Kelly was a great character. Why are you replacing her with Clara? Next up is The Space Pirates. This is probably the only missing serial that no one wants to find again. There's just no saving this story. It's not a great story, it's not a great episode. It earned a 1 overall, and the only other episode to earn a 1 was so far is Mission to the Unknown, and this is 6 parts long. Mission to the Unknown was 1 part, this is 6 parts. So imagine how bad I found this serial to be. However, it is the last story that has missing episodes, so that's good. And it's the first proper Doctor and Companion Night episode. So there's some stuff, there's some credit to it, but it wasn't enjoyable. So I'm gonna have to put The Space Pirates in the Skaro Sewers. That one, yeah. As I said, there's no saving that story. It's in the Skaro Sewers. And there's no MVP because I just didn't care enough to think of one for that episode. It's just... none of the characters were good enough for me to be MVP. So, moving on to the season finale, The War Games. Now this is a very, very special episode. So this one earned a 5, and I'm just going to immediately put that in the top tier of Uyu, because The War Games is a brilliant serial. I love it. So this one is a very special episode because it is a finale. It is the second Doctor's final episode. It is Jamie's final episode. It is Zoe's final episode. It's the first appearance of Time Lords on their home planet. It's the first appearance of the home planet. Gallifrey is not quite named yet, but the home planet is there. It's also the final episode to be filmed in black and white. So there's a lot with this episode behind the scenes already. And with the episode itself, I just thought it was a brilliant serial, a great way to end the season and the Second Doctor's run. The whole story was really interesting. There was a mystery at the beginning that they sort of had to solve as they went along, and it was intriguing every step of the way. I really loved it. This is a 10 episode serial, so from my track record you'd think I'd hate it, but I loved it. It did go a little bit lower in my esteem in the middle part of it, but overall I loved the serial, I loved the story. It kept me engaged the whole way through. The War Games in Colour does not do this justice because it cuts out so much of this story is just cut and gone from the War Games in Colour, and it doesn't have the same impact. It doesn't have the same... They could have made this a trilogy film. They could have done War Games in Colour trilogy or something. It needs every episode to really work. It's just brilliant. I did like how they made out the Time Lords to be this ultra scary, menacing species, and the Doctor just didn't want to call home. He's like, no, I don't want to do this, but I have to. So it made the Time Lords out to be quite menacing, because before we've only seen the Doctor and the monk, so we've known one Time Meddler and one Doctor, but now it's like there's this trial going on and they're all kind of menacing and they're not happy with the Doctor for running away from Gallifrey. And when they take over his TARDIS at the end, it's also quite menacing there as well. But we'll come back to the end. There's a Zoe moment I want to talk about where the Doctor and Zoe are trying to trick someone into helping them get Jamie out of a prison. And so far he's believing them, and suddenly he's about to call someone to confirm the Doctor's identity. And Zoe just sort of goes and smashes the pot on his head, and it's brilliant. Really funny moment because she's like, didn't know what else to do. And it's just brilliant. I love Zoe. And also at the end of the episode, another Zoe moment when she does a little hand wave goodbye. She doesn't wave, she goes, and it's adorable. Absolutely adorable. But this is the goodbye to Jamie and Zoe, as well as the Second Doctor, and I think their departure was done quite well. I don't like it personally, but on a story level, I like it because I'm sad for the characters that they've lost all their memories after their first adventure with the Doctor, and they've just been thrown back into their own time. Jamie, for instance, was thrown back onto Clodden Field during a battle, and Zoe was put back on her space platform after the events of The Will in Space, so not so bad for her. But yeah, Jamie's gone back to a war. So I didn't like that for them, but for the story, I think it worked quite well. I don't think it was fully necessary for the Time Lords to take away their memories, but I have no issue with it other than I just don't think it was necessary. That's just the Time Lords being dicks. And yet we said goodbye to the Second Doctor and he was forcibly regenerated, which I thought was quite interesting, and the way they did it was interesting, especially with regards to offering him choices over his faces. I thought that was quite fun, even though he said no to all of them. And the MVPs for the War Games are Jennifer Buckingham and Jeremy Carstairs. But that is the end of season 6, and I'm quite happy with that tier list. It is a better season than the previous one, so it's good that it had more higher scores. Season stats, the most common score was a 4, and the season average is a 3.75, which I think is quite good. For the quote of the season, there are actually 9 quotes that I picked out that I loved, but the one I've chosen comes from the season premiere, The Dominators, and it's from Zoe. The character Balin says, "Resistance will only lead to violence." And Zoe says, "And submission leads to slavery. We must fight." And I just think that's quite an important thing to remember. So that is season 6. Did you agree with my list? Did you disagree? Tell me your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you next time.